Hey, happy Monday, everyone. For my friends in Australia and New Zealand, happy Tuesday. I can't believe it, but we have finally arrived. We finally arrived later this week. 4 flat earthers and 4 globe earthers are going to depart for the final experiment on our journey to Antarctica. I'll obviously be joining them. So 9 of us are going to be going to Antarctica for the final experiment this week. But today, I'm really excited to have a live discussion with Steve from England. Now, Steve is a flat earther, and he reached out to me via email, which a lot of people do, and I appreciate. And he actually presented an argument to me that I have not heard. So this is good. After months and months and months of doing TFE, I start to hear a lot of the same arguments over and over and over again, but he presented something new to me that I have not heard. And I do think it is very interesting and worth having a discussion about. Now, Steve from England is doing something that is super important to me. I know people who have been following this closely have heard me say this. He not only presented an argument to me, he also presented a solution. And that is so, so, so important. And so with that, I'm going to go ahead and bring Steve on. Steve, how are you today?
Hi, Will. Just to say, a privilege to be here, young man, and thank you for inviting me on.
Yes, really glad to have you here. I appreciated our email exchange, and I appreciated your email. In your email, you made an argument to me about a potential issue with the final experiment, with going out to see if there's a 24-hour sun, a midnight sun. But you didn't just present a problem, you also presented a solution, which we'll talk about later. So I really do appreciate that. You also were pretty honest with me, and you said, hey, if you can, do this and show this, that pretty much means that I am wrong about my position, and obviously I'm willing to do the same. So let's start by just telling people a little bit about yourself.
Okay, Will. Yeah, so from a flat Earth point of view, I've always been mindful that the government isn't always truthful, and that's been with me for years. When I was age 20, I read a book by Vance Packard called Hidden Persuaders, which opened my eyes to the invisible forces that are controlling how we think. We could be walking around thinking, these are my own thoughts that I'm thinking, but what are the messages that we've been receiving from everywhere we look, just about, through the media particularly, that are shaping the way we think? So it's not necessarily my interest in humanity is it's not what we think, it's why do we think what we think. And I think it's very important that when we embark on any investigation, we have to look at not this is what I think, but why am I thinking what I think? So I brought that frame of thinking to examining NASA, and I have to say, Will, I came out after a very short time absolutely knowing that they are pulling a fast one in so many different areas, and it's a multi-billion dollar industry. So I looked at the moon landings and I can see massive holes in it that are inarguable. We won't discuss them now, but the flat earthers who are watching, they will know that there are inarguables. So I just put NASA down to a comical money-making venture, fooling millions of people and getting billions of dollars in the process for doing it. So I just parked that up, and then in 2015, surfing as you do on the internet, I came across this link and it just said the Earth is flat. And me being an inquisitive person, I thought, well, I'll chance it. So I clicked on the link, and suddenly things were starting to be told me that resonated with what I'd always. I can remember being at age 12 and putting my hand up in class and saying to the teacher, "Sir, why don't we fall off the bottom of the ball on the other side?" And there was a whole load of science waffle that was given to me, which helped shape my mind. And so I left school thinking, yeah, well, we live in a ball, we spin 1,042 miles an hour, and we orbit the sun at 66,000 miles an hour. So you just kind of park it up. But I never really questioned it. And then when I clicked on this link at Flat Earth, it laid out some objective questions to ask yourself about what you think about where we live, and to go out and get out of the armchair and just carry out some basic observations, which I did, and I was just astounded. And so that was day 3 or day 4. I went and bought a telescope, I got a calculator, I went down to the coast, and I took the conventional curvature mathematics with me, and I was blown away, because conventional curvature mathematics just fails at the first hurdle. And within a week, Will, I went from I'm not really thinking about it to Flatter Than Flat, which is my YouTube handle.
Do you remember what video you saw back in 2015?
Yes, and I know I'm going to get booed and hissed by some quarters, but it was an Eric Dubay video.
Okay.
You know, people have got their beefs with Eric, and I get it. You know, I've had a couple of fallouts over the years with Eric where he's banned me because I've asked questions about some aspects of what he does, and so he just shut me out. And I get that, you know, but yeah, it was Eric who just set me on the path, and so I can remember. And then I watched it, because you've got to bear in mind that people who are new to Flat Earth now, 2015, 2016, 2017, I mean, I'm considered probably quite an oldie now in the Flat Earth world, because I've been flat for 10 years. 2015, 16 and 17 were the golden years for researching Flat Earth. You could enter Flat Earth into Google search, and you would come up with some fantastic sites, you know. And then, as the Flat Earthers will know, 2018, suddenly there was almost like an avalanche. It was like a tidal wave of contrary information that was, we believe, and again, I have evidence for that, is purposely designed to sort of obfuscate and lead people away from understanding of the Flat Earth. But I can remember 2015, it was I became flat after 3 weeks. And I was at my PC, and it just suddenly dawned on me, because I'm a Christian as well. I believe in God's word, and I went out into the garden, and I just burst into tears, because it's like, Lord, we're not spinning, we're not hurtling through some random universe. You've got this earth fixed and firm. And not only has an understanding of the flat earth and God's cosmology, biblical cosmology, not only has it been so liberating in terms of being able to look at all the deceit that's around the earth, it really takes the scales off your eyes, but it just confirmed what God's word, you know, God's word, the Bible. Before I was reading passages that didn't make sense, and suddenly God's cosmology, a flat earth, a canopy above, separating the waters above from the waters below, it just made sense. And also the fact, Will, that like we're told we're spinning at 1,042 miles an hour, orbiting, and then the universe is hurtling through endless space at 1.5 million miles an hour. And yet I get up in the morning and there's not a ripple on my coffee cup. There's not a ripple on the lake on a calm, beautiful early morning with the mist, you know.
Yeah, we we definitely have a different view on that. I look at that as the wonder of God's creation, where he can create something so intricate and so incredible that as we search it out, I'm more and more blown away. But let's talk about Antarctica, because you are convinced that there is no 24-hour sun, there is no midnight sun. And I will say, you presented an argument to me that I hadn't heard. So over the last 8 months or so, I've heard so many things, right? I've heard about sun simulators, coffee cup caustic, fake suns, two suns, NASA creating clouds, all of that. And those are hard arguments to swallow for the globe side. I'll just tell the flat earthers that. But your argument is good. It's something that I won't just discount or disregard. And the best part, Steve, which is why we're talking, is you have presented a solution for this. So talk me through your thinking about Antarctica, the midnight sun,
Yeah.
and what you'd like us to do.
Okay. Well, I think what you've just said there, Will, is separated in two parts. One is, um, I can remember the first time around, I bought a couple of internet firsts to the flat Earth thing, which was great, and I don't mind. It was robbed off me, and everyone else copied it. I'm not worried about that. But this is another first for Antarctica, which you and I will. This is the first time this has ever been discussed openly, and if you go online, let's just sort of like paint the scene, paint the Antarctica scene for the average punter, the average Antarctica punter. They go, oh, I want to go to Antarctica. So they go online and they go, oh, the land of the midnight sun. Oh, 24 hours, it's dark for months at a time, and then it's light for months at a time. You just go down any standard Google search, that's all you see. Okay, so this is what I mean earlier about, but it's not what do we believe, it's why do we believe what we believe. So people believe that there's a midnight sun, and people believe that there's 6 months of light and 6 months of dark. David Attenborough's been on to say it in his nature programs. So we just get washed with this kind of subliminal message that Antarctica is this special place where it's light for so long and dark for so long. So the reality is, this is now where we have to apply thinking processes and not get distracted and just stay. So this is the thinking path. So there is not a midnight sun, as David Weiss says, but he got his wording wrong, because yes, there is. This is the first problem. Yes, there is a sun that appears at midnight in Antarctica, but what no one ever says is that the clocks have been put forward. And so when you get to, if you start at, just to give you an idea of what I think is the deceitful nature of all of this, is that if you travel from the top of North America and you come all the way down the east coast and you get down to Mexico, you travel all the way down, the west coast, all the way down the west coast, you get down there, you'll probably cover about 7,000 or 8,000 miles, in which there will be about a 4 or 5 hour time difference. Okay, so you get down to Ushuaia, which is it's actually Argentina. It's not
Argentina.
Chile. Yeah, you get down to Ushuaia, and everyone's sort of getting ready to photograph their polar bears, and sorry, not polar bears because they're up north. Photograph their penguins and their whales and all that sort of stuff, and they're so excited by it all. And then they get casually told, oh well, you just got to set your clocks forward. So from Ushuaia, when they go over the boat on Drake's Passage, it then leaps from from the top of North America, a couple of thousand miles, it changes 2 hours, another couple of thousand miles, another 2 hours. Then you get down to Ushuaia, and then you get onto Drake's Passage in the ship, and it leaps 16 hours across 500 miles. There's, I think 600 miles maximum between Ushuaia and when you get to Antarctica, supposed continent of Antarctica. So people just don't think. When they get on the boat, they'll go, oh, they'll do what the captain says. They'll adjust their clocks, and then the sun will be out, and they go, oh my goodness me, look, the midnight sun. But what they've forgotten entirely is that just 600 miles up the road in Ushuaia, the sun's out because it's 10 o'clock in the morning. And so that's the first thing that people have to get into their minds, that there is a time zone difference of 16 plus hours. So it's a mind game. It's a mind F. If you don't, they get on the boat and so they'll be looking up at the sun and they'll look at their clock and they go, my goodness me, what a magical place. And it's not magical at all. It's basic common sense. And asking a question of the powers that be, please will you explain to me why you have made the time zones go 2 hours every few thousand miles, get down to Ushuaia, then there's a 16-hour time zone difference. What's that all about? Why? That's a question that I'd like to ask Simon Dan and Professor Dave, who they get given a chance to sort of wax lyrical answer that question. Why is there a 16-hour time difference between Yeshua and the first port of call when the boat leaves Yeshua and gets to the supposed continent of Antarctica? So that's the first thing. Is that was that clear enough?
Yeah. So thank you, Steve. That is what grabbed my attention. Okay.
Yeah.
I have not heard this. I
Yeah.
also have not looked into time zones in Antarctica.
Yeah.
So we're going to get to your solution, how we can test this. But you also sent me some pictures this morning.
Yeah.
Which I haven't been able to look at all of them yet, but you want me to share those and you want to talk about them. So should we do that right now?
Of course. So this is an internet first. And so what I've been able to do, Will, is to write to companies, because Will, you got me out of my retirement. You know, I was happy as a flat earther. I was confident of my position, etc. And I've made all my videos on my channel, and I had nothing else to say. And you know, and I've watched a few bits and bobs here and there, but I know what I know, and I'm confident in it. I believe that we're fixed and firm, and God's canopy above us. And then this flipping experiment comes along, and it really grabbed my attention. And so I realised that I needed to do some flipping research on this, because I had to be sure of my ground, because I believe in God's word, where He talks about, you know, heavens and earth. And I can see that this Antarctic experiment, the final experiment, and I could ask you a question about that later, about whether you think that's actually an appropriate title, the final experiment. Mm-hmm. But I began looking into it, and then I came across this phenomenon, a scientifically proven phenomenon called the albedo effect. So here comes my doggy, Dex. Come here.
Yeah, I had not heard of this albedo effect either.
So Dave McKeegan, you've got someone just like your doggy. So anyway, so the albedo effect, and what this is the study of how light reflects off different surfaces, and so there are properties that are given an albedo scale, and the albedo scale is from 0 to 1. So macadam, how do you say it in America? Tarmac, is it?
Yes.
Yeah. So tarmac has a albedo scale of about 0.1, and snow and ice have an albedo scale of 0.8 to 0.9. And so what that is that's it's reflecting ambient light outwards, and the albedo effect is the study of how light is reflected and what surfaces reflect to what degree. So in this first picture, okay, so here what we're looking at, everyone has heard of the doorbells called Ring, where you know you're out on your phone and somebody rings a bell and you can just, from wherever you are, you can phone the doorbell and say just leave the parcel here, there, and everywhere. So the top picture that you're looking at, guys, is a Ring phone that has taken a picture of a delivery man at 12:30 a.m, 12:30 in the morning, the early hours. And the top picture shows before it snowed. Okay, and then this delivery guy, he comes the same time every night. And the bottom picture is the next night after there had been a snowfall. And as you can see on the description above, it says it wasn't until the next day I realised how bad the snow things made, how bad it was. There are 2 screenshots on my Ring camera around 12:30 a.m. the night before and after newly fallen snow. The difference is staggering, and I'm sure viewers watching this, you can see what a difference that a blanket of snow has made to those 2 images taken at exactly the same time.
Okay, cool. So what you're saying here is that these images were taken at the same time, but on different days.
Yes. They were both stamped at 12:30 a.m. as a delivery man made his regular delivery. And the first night it hadn't snowed, and the second night it had snowed. And there's no extra lighting. What you're seeing here is how ambient lighting, instead of being just going straight up into the sky, is reflecting off the snow and creating a much lighter area all round.
Got
And
it.
so when you go to Antarctica, what you have to bear in mind is that there is a very strong effect. The albedo effect is very, and so people think, oh my goodness, it's light, therefore the sun's got to be out. No, it doesn't have to be out at all. So if we go, so that's a shockingly brilliant example, I think, of the albedo effect that people haven't even thought of before. So if you go to the next slide, Will. Okay, so now here's another shockingly brilliant example. Here's a picture that is being used by conventional agencies to talk about the effects of global warming in Antarctica and how the sun and the albedo effect. They're talking about the albedo effect, saying how what is the albedo effect having on global warming, which I won't go into now, but I don't believe in that whole concept. It's another scaremongering story. But look at the description at the bottom. This is taken from a science magazine called Science ABC. So this will please Simon, Dan and Professor Dave and all the other science bods. Here's a science magazine, so it's got to be true because it says science. Imagine trying to fall asleep under a midday sun. That's what a summer night feels like in Antarctica. So this is printed by a science magazine, ABC Science, respect magazine, but that's not the sun, that's the moon.
Why do you say that?
Well, if you go to the next picture, Will.
Okay.
So yeah, so now look at this picture. This is from Deposit Photos, and can you see what the description is at the bottom? What does it say under? Will, what does it say underneath the photo? The description.
It does say moonlight there.
Yeah, no, but can you read it out, Will? What does it say?
Summer night in Antarctica, icebergs floating in the moonlight.
That's it. If you just go back to the picture before, Will, just
there we go.
Okay, same picture. And I've bought this picture, so I can use this without fear of copyright. I've bought the picture. So this is the moon. And so people are being flooded with images of the moon when they're saying it's the sun. So people are going, oh, the midnight sun, that's the moon, right? That's the first thing. And look at the albedo effect as well. As we look at this picture, we can see that the ambient light has made everything look like daylight, and it's not. That's the moon. So if you go to the next picture along, Will, look at that. That's extraordinary, but that is the moon. And so we're getting bombarded with images from, I have to say, vested interests who are going out of their way to maintain the myth that there is a midnight sun. So when David Weiss says there's no midnight sun, in one sense he's right, because it's not midnight. It's only midnight because of the time zone change. So he hasn't got his facts all right, and I don't blame a lot of globe earthers, because some of the stuff that's said on the flat earth side is just cringeworthy. Things like, oh, look, the sun is really near to us because you can see clouds behind the sun. Have you heard that argument, Will? Yeah, it's ridiculous. The clouds are not behind the sun, and every time I see that, I write to them, for goodness sake, stop saying that. All it is, the clouds are in front of the sun, but because the sun's brilliance is brighter than the cloud that is in front of it, the sun is just shining through the cloud and making the cloud look like it's behind the sun. Pull that down. It's ridiculous. You're making this a laughing stock. So, sorry, I'm venting.
No problem.
But these pictures are being used, Will, by conventional agencies. And when it comes out, I'm going to show you how senior government agencies are using pictures just like this to promote climate change and calling this the sun when it's not, and it's the moon. And I know this doesn't directly answer the question, is there a 24-hour sun? That's the correct question. but what this shows is that there's definite trickery involved when it comes to going 600 miles south of Ushuaia.
Okay, should we go to the next picture?
Yes, mate. Here's one. Okay. And again, guys, you must understand, I absolutely do my research, because what we cannot be, if we're going to research stuff, we have to be absolutely on the ball and be prepared to start again and tear up every bit of paper we thought was correct. So anyway, so here is Happy Midwinter from Rothera Station, and Rothera Station is a station, and I'm not going to say Antarctica because on God's ice shelf, okay, on a part of God's ice shelf there is somewhere a place called Rothera Station, and what they're saying here, here's a Happy Midwinter, which is June the 21st. So here's a picture of everyone stationed at Rothera, because on God's ice shelf they celebrate midwinter. There's, they exchange gifts and they make gifts for people. It's almost like I wouldn't say a cult, but it's like they celebrate Midwinter's Day. So here they are celebrating Midwinter's Day, and I looked at that and I said, but hang on, we get told that you hardly get any light in Midwinter's Day. So I wrote, Rothera Station is run by British Antarctic Survey, BAS. So I wrote to them and I said, look, guys, can you just tell me, I'm just interested, can you tell me when this was taken? And so one of the senior personnel at BAS wrote back to me. I keep all my emails so no one can ever accuse me of just spouting stuff and not being able to prove it. Says, unfortunately, I don't know the specifics of when the photo was taken, but you would be correct to assume it was around Midwinter's Day on the 21st of June. Okay. So I'm looking at that going, well, that doesn't look very dark. So if you go to the next slide, Will. So to try and establish what's going on, I went to timeanddate.com, because there you can get sunrises and sunsets, etc., etc. So as you can see in the top right, I entered in Rothera and I put in the date, which was June the 21st. Okay. So if you go to the next slide, look at that. There's June the 21st, from the 13th until the 27th. The sun is down all day. Right.
Wow.
So what's going on? And I can tell you, Will, because please don't misinterpret me, buddy, because I know you say that your interest was peaked 3 years ago. Oh, how do I say this without sounding? That's not a long time to have actually plumbed the depths, as you can hear, because I appreciate, Will, because you'll be looking at this, you'll be thinking, flipping out, what's going on here? It says down all day on an official site, and yet look at what's going on out there, in Rothera on June the 21st. And if you go to the next slide, Will. Right, here's a guy who doesn't like me, and I've made enemies of him, and he won't come out with it yet, but he's a really popular poster. He does shorts, YouTube shorts at McMurdo Station, and his name is Matty Jordan, and I've called him out lots of times. He has blocked. He has removed comments that I put on his website. Sorry, that I put on his videos, calling him out, and he just removed them. But look at him. Here's a video that Matty Jordan has made, and Simon Dan is in love with this guy, and he's using Matty Jordan as some kind of icon to prove that flat earthers don't know what they're talking about. We'll come on to that later, but Simon, I'd love to sit down with you sometime and just actually have a proper conversation where we can just talk about specifics and get down to the meat of things and not be distracted by science word salad. Anyway, so Matty Jordan goes out of his cabin in McMurdo and he goes, look, we only have the tiniest bit of residual twilight looking to the north. On the same day, like, this is him saying it's like this all day and all night, where he's at McMurdo. On the same day he's doing that, because you can go to his website, you can have a look at the date that he uploaded this. The same date that the British Antarctic Survey are all like this in a nice big group photo with bloody sun out. I mean, what's going on? I'm sorry to swear, Will, but all you need to tumble what's going on in Antarctica is common sense, persistence, and to not be swayed by the flipping barrage of false information that would make you give up and go, oh, they must be right because so many people are saying it. It's not for now, Will, but maybe we could have, I'm enjoying venting, having my chat. Maybe another time we could have a chat about what I believe to be the real purpose behind all the deceit that's going on. So anyway, but you can see, Will, that picture was totally different to what British Antarctic Survey was saying, and yet they're just down the road.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know if they're just down the road. It's possible, but let's do this. This is what excites me, Steve. Okay, so you just said a couple things that I want to talk about. So number one, you said that 3 years is not a lot of time. Fair. But I'm going to tell you right now that I come from a position where I believe time is probably the most precious asset that we have. And I'm not willing to spend, obscene amounts of time on things that I'm just not that interested in. So that brings us to the final experiment, because you also said, I forgot the phrase you just used. Like, let's just get to the meat of it. Let's just get to the heart of the issue. This is why I created the final experiment. We've got people spending countless hours researching, making YouTube videos, and debating. I like just let's get boots on the ground and let's do something. So that's why we are going to Antarctica. So here's what I want to talk about now. You have not just presented a problem, which I think is possibly valid, which is, I'll call it time zone manipulation. Again, I have not looked into this, but you've also presented a solution. This is what I love. That speaks to my heart. Present problems and then present solutions, tests, experiments that we can do to get down to the bottom of it. You have done that. So thank you. Let me think. I don't know. I'm just trying to think if any other flat earthers have presented solutions to the problems that they've presented. I don't know. Maybe. I don't want to say no, because I have a lot in my mind, and I've done a lot the last 8-9 months. So let's talk about your solution. And I love this, and I'm gonna go ahead and commit to doing this for you.
Okay, well, and again, this is dependent on, first of all, this is dependent on weather, which is out of yours and my control. It's dependent on internet access, which is out of yours and my control. And it's just dependent on circumstances. So I'm grateful for this opportunity right now. I say, thank you, Lord, for this opportunity, just to be able to talk to a wide group of people and have this. If this is the only time that I get with you, Will, and it doesn't pan out in Antarctica, I'm more than chuffed anyway. Just what's been said today. So, but what my solution was, it was about to guard against fraudulence and manipulation, because I can tell you now that Antarctica, which the part of God's ice shelf that we've dubbed Antarctica, is filled to the gills with manipulation and deceit. And so you can't blame flat earthers, Will, for being suspicious of you as a person, because you suddenly appear from nowhere with a masterfully put together plan with all the videos, all the editing. I went through all of them, Will. I went through all of the videos.
Thank you.
And they're very good. Now, did you do them yourself, or did you get somebody in? Did you get a team to come in and do it?
The first 6, I had help. The rest were all myself.
Okay. So I will answer your question, but can I ask you, because I know lots of flat earthers will be wanting me to ask you this question, and I could not do them the disservice without asking you. So you can choose not to answer, but I was watching, so you go through the 6 videos where you gradually, over the period, you present an argument's interesting. That's an interesting, and then the solution, and then then it cuts to you. Okay, and you're sat in your chair, and you're sat there like that. And so I know, because I've been in this game a long time, immediately because it looked a crafted shot. So lots of flat earthers will just go, Will Duffy, he's in the gang. We can't trust any of this because Trumpy uses this. All the big wigs in politics and blah blah blah, secret signals, blah blah blah. So I just wanted to ask you, what was that, some kind of mischievous thing that you did, or what was going on there?
No. So I'm guessing millions of people have done this with
Yeah,
their hands.
yeah,
I hired a professional film crew for video number 6,
yeah. Okay,
and they told me where to put my feet, where to put my hands, the whole 9 yards.
okay,
So that's
okay.
it.
Good. Well, Will, then, okay, flat earthers, I haven't got a problem with that. So will you stop, if you watch this video, will you stop saying that Will is from some reptilian land, and I'll take him at his word that, like, people's told him he's got a look, this looks professional, it looks composed, etc., etc. I'm happy with that. You know, and
Okay,
if you want
thank
to
you.
slag me off, flat earthers, without fun. Anyway, I'm glad I got that out of the way. So so what I wanted to do, Will, was so I wrote to you to say, can we guard against suspicion? And I wanted to use the time zone thing as a way, and worldwide comms, of being able to guard, to mitigate any kind of foul play. My confidence is that where God's word says the sun circuits the earth, okay,
Mm.
there is no way that you are going to have a 24-hour sun around Antarctica, alleged Antarctica, if God's sun and moon circle above us like that, right around the earth. I mean, like, just quickly again for Simon, Dan, and Professor Dave, maybe they could answer. If a 24-hour sun is circulating Antarctica, what's it doing? Where's the sun for all the other places around the rest of the world? Up the top of your ball. Right? So please answer that, Simon, Dan, and Professor Dave. That'd be awesome. So what I said was, let's guard against trickery here. I'm confident that because the sun circulates away, when it's midnight in Yeshua, it's going to be, let's add a couple of hours, and it's going to be dark in Yeshua. Let's add 3 hours onto it. Call it 3 o'clock in the morning in Antarctica time, in real time. So it's not going to be dark because of the albedo effect, as we've already seen. But I'm saying that there's not going to be a sun for between 3 and 4 hours from Yeshua time. You'd have to work out what time it is. If you call it 2 o'clock in Yeshua, when you get to the Ale camp to Union Glacier, ask them, can you tell us, please, what time is it right now in Yeshua? Okay. Mm-hmm. Then when it's midnight, 1 o'clock in the morning in Yeshua, I'm saying that there's going to be no sun anywhere. It's going to be light because of the albedo effect, but the sun is going to have been long gone. Mm-hmm. Right? There's going to be no sun in Yeshua. And then just to either WhatsApp me and do a pan of the surrounding area, and show us that there's a sun. Mm-hmm. And you know, you're going with Jaron and Whitsitt, and maybe talk to Jaron and Whitsitt about that and see whether, you know, get their heads together, see whether they think that's a good plan. But I'm confident, Will, that the sun will have long gone, but the light, the albedo effect, will still be there, and people who don't think so will be going, "Wow, it's light." Well, yeah, it is.
Yeah.
But the sun,
I love this. I love this test. So here's what we're going to do. The easiest way is we can either do midnight in Ushuaia, Argentina, or we can do solar midnight. I don't know if there'll be much of a difference. I think they'll be pretty close to each other. Solar midnight is when the sun is the furthest away from Ushuaia, Argentina. Okay. But we're going to then look up what time it would be for you in England.
Yeah.
And we're going to live stream with you at that time. Right.
I think that'll be, if you go for between midnight Yeshua time and 2 a.m., That'll be between 3 and 5 a.m. for me in the UK, I think. But we can firm up the times because again, I have to say it was really confusing trying to look up Union Glacier and Mount Vincent to try and find out exactly what time it was there. I found it quite difficult. Maybe I was a bit tired, I don't know, but maybe I've been too much interneting.
Yeah, give me 1 second. I'm just looking at this real quick. Yeah, you're right. So midnight in Ushuaia, Argentina would be 3 a.m. in London.
Yeah. So I'm saying anytime between say 1 o'clock in the morning, Ushua time, and 4 o'clock in the morning, particularly, the sun's going to be long gone. The moon, if it's a cloudless sky, will very likely be out, which will be awesome. If it's not out and there's clouds, then you've got to reconcile with this newfound knowledge, Will, about the albedo effect, which is making everything so much brighter.
Yeah, so let's talk about the clouds for a second. So I don't know which day we're going to be able to do this. Maybe we can do it on the 14th, but if we can't, maybe we'll do it on the 15th. We have a few days. If there's cloud coverage, I think what we should do is try to do it the next day. And I think we should try to do it each day until we have clear skies.
Yeah, Will. And listen. Once again, I think that I've laid out my case. I think thinking people watching this will now go away and look at the time zones, and maybe that'll generate a kind of momentum of its own about, hang on a minute, none of this has been spoken about. So that'll be a really good thing to do. But if it doesn't pan out, I'm not worried. It'd be great if it does. I'm just glad for the opportunity to talk to the main man involved in the final experiment, to be able to have I think a rational conversation about it. And I'm delighted that I've been given the opportunity.
Yeah, absolutely. So let's end with our commitments. I'll start. So at midnight Ushuaia, Argentina time, if I can't show you or show everybody, whether it's a live stream or even, a recording, a sun in the sky, I'm going to try to get Jaron and Austin to do this with me, and Lisbeth and Jonathan and everybody else that's with us. Those are the 4 flat earthers. If there is no sun in the sky at midnight Ushuaia, Argentina time, I will say that the globe has been falsified.
Well, I don't think you can say that because I think the globe has been falsified for many reasons, but I don't think you can say that, Will, because I don't think you should be so bold in that, because there are other factors, like for me, if it can be shown, and what we'll do is we will verify the times, and we can do a kind of finalize it and get a little, like metric about when it's going to happen, at what time you should, etc., because I still haven't been told what the time zones are, particularly where you're going to in Union Glacier. So we need to get that tightened. But that'd be great if you said that. But for me, if I'm wrong, if it can be shown that the sun has actually stopped doing what it's been doing for thousands of years and just circulating where everyone is saying it is, that's going to undo my understanding of cosmology, undo my understanding of my mental state. I'm thinking, what on earth is going on? And it'll undo my understanding of God's word as well. Where he said, here it is. I'll just read this. Will, look, Psalm 19. The heavens declare the glory of God, and the firmament shows his handiwork. Day unto day utters speech, night unto night reveals knowledge. There is no speech nor language where their voice is not heard. Their line has gone out through all the earth, and their words to the end of the earth. In them he has set a tabernacle for the sun, which is like a bridegroom coming out of his chamber, rejoices like a strong man to run its race. Its rising is from one end of heaven, and its circuit to the other end, and there is nothing hidden from its heat. Its circuit. So, for me, God's word is clear. The sun circuits above us. So if that doesn't happen, I'm knackered, but I'm trusting in God for that.
Yeah, awesome. And the reason the reason I'm so confident in saying that I will state it falsifies the globe is because it would, right? So the globe is a model,
Yeah,
and the globe model makes very specific predictions based on the globe model. And so I don't know anything about the time zones. All I can tell you is that the globe model demands that the sun stay in the sky for 24 hours while we are
yeah,
in Antarctica. And so again, I don't need to go research the time zones. You're picking the time. I love it. Midnight Ushuaia, Argentina, which will be 3 a.m. in London. And I don't know how many time zones England has. Do they only have
yeah.
one?
Yes, it's GMT zero.
Okay. Yeah, that's right. And so anyway, I'm letting you pick the time. I love it. And I'm just going to say, hey, our model demands the sun is in the sky at that time. And so if there has been trickery and messing with the time zones to try to, you know, show us and dupe us all into this globe model, I'm fine testing that. Like, people don't believe me, but I will change my mind. I am open-minded about this, but I do think we'll end with this. I do think that this is the final experiment. I do think that this is definitive. And so, yes, I'm open-minded, but I'm going to go see something with my own eyes
Yeah,
that will either falsify flat Earth, which is a 24-hour sun, or falsify the globe, which is not a 24-hour sun. And so I'm very confident in stating that, and I'm giving you my word here publicly. And I'm looking forward to doing this test with you specifically at that time, one of the days we're there.
yeah. Well, Will, could I just one final thing, buddy? For people who've been listening to this, and guys, if anything has been said and you want clarity on it, would it be all right? I've put a PDF up online that describes a lot of what we've been talking about. Would it be all right to just say where they can get that from?
Sure, of course.
If you type in lyingsignsandwonders.net,
Awesome. So
yeah,
lyingsignsandwonders.net.
lyingsignsandwonders.net, and there's a flat Earth PDF that you can click on there called "Not as Think as You Dumb We Are,"
Okay.
which is a
Not
play on "Not as Dumb as You Think We Are." Okay, so
ir-
just go to lyingsignsandwonders.net. Not as think as you dumb we are. Click on that, and it's got a lot on. It just describes my journey and where I'm at, but without the fairy tale trappings. I hope it's concise, precise, gets to the point, and I believe equips people with a really good understanding of how somebody who was in the Ball Earth camp transitioned to living on the flat side.
Awesome. All right, Steve. Thank you so much for reaching out. Hey, everybody, just a quick addendum here. After my interview with Steve, he was doing some research online, found some information, and just wanted to make a little bit of a clarification. So, Steve, floor is yours.
Yeah, well, thanks ever so much. You're under such pressure to get out there, get out to Antarctica, get packed. You're a pastor, you're preaching, and you're preparing your sermon. And the last thing I wanted to do was to say, Will, hang on, there's a bit of an issue here. So, yes, guys, it's a lesson for me and a lesson for everybody who does research. Don't always believe the first Google link that you click on. In the video that you just watched, I was talking about the time zones coming down the west coast of America, getting all the way down to Ushuaia, and then you hop on the boat and you get to Antarctica, the South Shetland Islands, which is the majority of where people visit, and you jump 16 hours, but you don't jump 16 hours. That's my bad, because I went on a link on YouTube, checking looking at the time zones, and I didn't go to another time zone. I just took this one at face value, and the time zone for when you get out to South Shetland Islands. Do it yourself, guys. Type in time zone South Shetland Islands into Google, and the first one to come up, you'll see it's way off. So I checked it again this morning after talking with Will, and the time zone for when you get to the South Shetland Islands, it shares the time zone for Ushuaia, and because I'm a stickler for getting things right, and because I'm a stickler for making sure that I don't misrepresent the flat Earth community and misrepresent intellectual research, I really wanted to get hold of Will. So I had a sleepless night thinking, oh, well, Will better fit me in on this. But it doesn't affect none of this affects our experiments to be able to verify whether the sun is in the sky when Ushuaia is, when Will calls me at midnight Ushuaia time, for me to be able to confidently expect that there'll be no sun in the sky. So yeah, that was it. I'm grateful to Will for allowing me to just make this correction, and also to say that everything else that was discussed, feel free to double check yourself. I've double checked and treble checked everything else in the video that we got in the can yesterday is kosher. And Will, you told me yesterday that you believed that the time zone that you're going to be camped at shared a South American time. Is that correct?
Yeah, that's right. So Union Glacier utilizes the same time zone as Punta Arenas.
Okay, well, that'd be good to check that out because I believe that Union Glacier is just down the road from Mount Vincent. I think they're very near.
Sounds right.
Huh?
That sounds right.
Yeah. Well, Mount Vincent, it says that it shares New Zealand time, which is 13 hours ahead on timeanddate.com. And so check it yourself. I've done it, and I'm thinking, my goodness me, until we're actually out there, until you guys are out there, you'll not know what the time is. And it sounds crazy, but the Antarctic time zones are an absolute nightmare. When you get all the information in front of you and you try and collate it all, they are all over the place. So just please check that when you get out there. But we can have a back and forth about making sure that you phone me at the correct time for us to be able to verify whether the sun is in the sky or not.
Yeah, that's the key here, is that your position is that midnight Ushuaia time, there will be no sun in the sky at Union Glacier.
I'll say between midnight and 2 o'clock in the morning, because I'm not sure, because of the time zones and everything and all that has ensued here. But I'm confident that between those hours, between midnight and 2, there won't be a sun in the sky for you guys at Mount Vincent or Union Glacier.
Okay, great. Hey, everybody, Steve's information and his website and how to reach him are down in the description below. Talk to you soon. Bye-bye.
And thank you, Will, and God bless you on your trip, my man.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye-bye.